Joshua Shelton with Hall of Flowers, and it is my honor and pleasure to welcome you to our 4 p.m. panel on changing stigmas. We have 2 women here to kind of spread their knowledge and experience with us that have made a tremendous impact not only on the world but on the cannabis industry. And someone I'd like to welcome to this stage first is someone that we all know. She's someone that has dedicated her entire being to advancing our cause and our industry, and she's someone I'm honored to call a friend. Please welcome me in joining Dr. Dina to the stage. Here, I'll trade you.
Much better. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. This is an awesome experience, this Hall of Flowers, and I'm so honored to be here today. Well, we are here to talk about changing stigmas and using Hollywood to do that. We have a little background on me. I opened up a dispensary in 2002 in West Hollywood, and soon after inspired the TV show Weeds. And that was a crazy experience in itself, but I think it helped get the message out to a lot of women that we can do this too. Now, fast forward to 2018, legalization hit, and we were lucky enough to have several dispensaries licensed, manufacturing, cultivation, and distribution. So this has been all-encompassing our lives for the past few years in a way that steamrolled over the 17 years before that. What we really want to know is, how will celebrities change this? We've been activists all these years, and we've gotten this far, but now that the celebrities are jumping into this game, we really want to know, how is this going to be the new normal? We imagine a world where household names lend to their likeness to your favorite strain. We want to know how that message and brand will stay authentic. Well, this is what we're going to be talking about today. So let's introduce our very special guest. Regarded as one of the most successful figures in entertainment today with her talk shows, best-selling books, and stand-up comedy, she's attracted millions of fans worldwide. Known for her sharp and straightforward wit with fearless curiosity, she has helped shed light on a number of social issues and become an outspoken activist, which we are very honored to have now on our side. She's just released her 6th book and first memoir called Life Will Be the Death of Me, which debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Let's welcome Chelsea Handler.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hi, how are you? Good, how are you? Hi, good afternoon.
All right, Chelsea, we've been waiting all day for this. So, congratulations on your book.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much.
It's an incredible book. You guys have to go check it out. It's really special. So we're going to jump into this right now. Of course, thank you again for being at Hall of Flowers. It is so exciting to see someone like you embrace our culture and jump into it. I know you're going to be joining into the culture as well, so we're going to hear all about that. So let's jump right into this topic. What is your relationship with cannabis?
It's strong. I used to smoke weed like in high school and stuff casually. Not really, wasn't that into it. I just smoked it because everybody else was smoking it. And, you know, would get too stoned and then get paranoid. And then I tried again and would get too stoned and get paranoid. And then that happened a couple more times. I'm like, why don't I just stick with alcohol? So I didn't smoke weed or take any edibles for a long period of time. And then I had a great experience again with an edible. And then the medicinal legalization became, medicinal cannabis became legal in California.
For adult use.
And then when that happened, I was on board with that. I was like, okay, let's get educated about what's out there. If we're getting it in a prescription, then they have to give us more information. It's not like going to a party and taking a cookie and then being on the bathroom floor for 8 hours. Like, people have to be accountable for what's in there. And then with the 2018 legalization, the educational component that was missing was there, and I think that's what people like me really need, is to understand what strains do what the ratio means from CBD to THC. So there's it's a whole new world. So people don't have to be so scared to dip their toes in the water again. And it's changed my life. I've seen how it's changed so many of my friends' life. It's cut my drinking in half, which for me is a sentence I never thought I'd say. So I really want to show people the way. Like, this is healthy. It's growing from the ground. Let's all get on board with this, The more the merrier.
Absolutely. In fact, I've noticed that working in a dispensary for a long time, oftentimes a friend would come into the dispensary with a few of their friends, and they'd be scared to smoke, and they'd say, I tried that a long time ago, it didn't work for me. And oftentimes I would just say, well, you haven't found the strain that's right for you yet, right? And I would tell them to smell all the different types of weed. And when they found the one that would work for them, they would smile. It was like their brain turned on. And so I think that it is still important to have people access to be able to smell things and look at things before they buy it, to be really educated. And as soon as the microdosing came in, I think that changed a lot of people. As far as edibles, did you try a large dose edible for the first time, or were you more microdose?
I'll always try drugs if they're in front of me. Like, I'll just do them because I want to be polite. But I've had a lot of edibles. I'm not one of those people that goes crazy, but I've been around a lot of those people that do. Usually if I'm too stoned and I can't handle it, I know to lie down and just go somewhere, I'm not out and about doing that. At least, no, I try not to be. But I think, when I got reintroduced, they have the blueberries, the kiva, the chocolate.
Yeah,
I was into the chocolates, then I was into the gummies. And then once I became really interested in cannabis and I started to fly up to see different grows in this area and other areas and meet with different companies, I realized, this is really just the beginning of an industry, because everything was kind of being thrown together. So I wanted to really learn as much as I could, which is an ongoing process, as you all know, because the industry is so nascent and in its beginning stages, so to speak, that there's so much to learn and there's so much growth to be had. And then, with meeting with people and getting more and more educated on the subject matter, it's just like, I've enabled so many of my friends, my sisters who never, take cannabis, my niece who had anxiety. I've seen the impact it's had on people that I care about, and I know from experience that when you can impact a small group of people in your life, you can impact the world.
That's right. That's right. And I think it also helps when you have a woman also saying, try it, as opposed to a man. That's what my experience in the past. I've been able to get people to try it who normally would never in a million years. I mean, we're talking, former first ladies that were against the cannabis movement. So they will try it eventually. And as a woman, it is your job to kind of suggest it to people, because the opioid crisis is horrific. And people are dying all the time from taking pills, and there are other options. So let's not forget that. So our next question is, we know that cannabis is used in giant blockbuster movies for decades, yet real-life consumption is very taboo. What's the deal?
I think that's just another matter of education and normalization, and I feel like it's really important for us to normalize the use of cannabis. This is something that helps you cope. You're talking about the opioid industry. I'd much prefer to take an edible before I go to bed than a Xanax or a sleeping pill, and that's something that I did. I used to take sleeping pills all the time. I don't do that anymore. I take an edible before I go to bed, and once you do that for long enough, you don't even need an edible to go to bed. I just needed something to get me back to normal life, And so for the myriad ways it helps so many people, it's important to find out, it's important what you were saying, to find out what you're looking for, what your issue is. If it is sleep, if it is anxiety, if it is just to laugh and have a good time, that's fine too. But just be honest about what you're after and what you're trying to accomplish.
What's your go-to strain these days?
Well, I'm always testing out strains because we're developing my line, so every day is a new adventure. So I just write it down and say how I feel, and I'm all over the map with them right now. So
are you like indica heavy? Are you sativas?
I prefer sativa, but I find that I fall asleep with sativa easily, and I don't find that those two labels it make that much of a difference for me.
Okay.
But
very good. Very good. I think that
Apparently
that was
this is
sort
a
of,
hot button issue.
I think that a lot of people thought that sativas are only up, but it affects everybody differently, and it's really about the personal user. So we have
Yeah,
to
I mean,
remember
and with
that.
anything, you take somebody. I mean, you know, that's endocannabinoids. You know, you take something that's going to affect different people differently. Some people take a Vicodin and are wired for 24 hours. You know, they're not the right customer for that.
So I think the big issue in Hollywood is that they portrayed people who use cannabis as, you know, lowlifes or kind of stupid or just don't have their shit together. And clearly that's not the case. Look around this room, right?
Yeah, well, I can vouch for that because I mean, I have time to be here and be a #1 New York Times bestselling author. So,
Woo!
so you can be productive. And you know, and that's a fallacy as well. People assume like this whole stigmatization and this kind of, it's just so old. It's from the 80s. Like, let's get with the program. It's cool. It's the way forward. It's not going backward, you know, because now obviously the pharmaceutical industry is going to want in on this, but which is more impetus to keep it out of their hands.
Absolutely, absolutely. So where do you see cannabis in the future for Hollywood and TV, movies, film?
Oh, glorifying it as soon as they get on board, you know. And I think most people, I think that's what it lacks so much, the cannabis industry. Not that Hollywood can fix any problem because that's so annoying to even contemplate, but like you know, there are so many users that aren't really out about it because there is a shame, you know, component to it, which is absurd. Even my friend who has 3 kids, like when I'm at her house, I'll pull out my vape. She's like, no, I don't want them to know about pot. I'm like, it's legal. I can go make a cocktail, right? So I can take it into this. So we need to get people on board, and I feel really passionately about it because the whole reason we're all here is hopefully to help each other, you know, and this is a huge help, and that's undeniable. And you know, I don't have serious issues or serious physical maladies that it helps with, so I am more of a recreational user, but we can't deny that it helps people physically, and you know, with conditions, with seizures, etc., and the list goes on and on. But
Well, if it helps you sleep and it keeps you from taking pain pills. I mean, I really believe in the old Dennis Perone model that all use is medical use in some way. You know, it really is the truth, and we can't forget the patients out there. But when you're stressed and you want to just feel good, instead of a drink, you smoke a joint. To me, it's the same thing. I mean, they coexist together. And so I think we need to keep that in mind. I hope that in the TV and film world that they start showing it in a positive light and just normalize it, right? We try to do that with Disjointed. We really just tried to show the inside of a working shop. I was the cannabis consultant for that show. And having Kathy Bates on a daily basis ask me questions and just, you know, they would come into the store and they would work there to get the experience. And it was just normal to them. They realized this was not a scary place. They were so scared to come in the beginning, the actors. But when they went back to the set, they could have, like, I wanted to hire them to work in my dispensary afterwards. I mean, they were restocking shelves. They knew what was going on. But it's so normalized. It's like a shoe store, you know, a Target, and you have your cannabis club. What's the difference, right?
yeah.
So now, where is the cannabis industry, as far as our biggest challenges, where do you think our challenges are going to be in the future?
Well, first we have to make sure that we're like working in, you know, we want state by state legalization to keep going. And so I think until we have, you know, I mean, with the laws and the state of limbo everybody's in, I think until we get a majority of states on our side, then we can start talking about like a long-term plan for federalization, you know?
I think federal legalization is coming much sooner than we think. And
I think so too, because I think Republicans are in on the weed.
Well, they want in on it, right? They want that tax money.
Yeah, of course. They want money.
I think it's actually going to happen sooner or later. We need to be prepared for this. But I think that it's going to be really wildly moving across the U.S. at a rapid rate. And these brands are going to be popping up everywhere. Grows are going to be popping up everywhere.
I was in Salt Lake City skiing a couple weeks ago, and they were saying, you know, you can't get a real drink in Salt Lake City to save your life. It's like a shot that's like a third of a shot. And I'm like, you guys are going to have cannabis legalization here before you learn how to make a drink.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I mean, they are really behind the times.
And what's also interesting about this administration over some of the past, as owning a dispensary for as long as I've had, I've been rated under George Bush's administration, but I was raided more times under Obama's administration than any other when he promised not to raid us, right? And ever since, the raids have stopped, as far as Donald Trump being our president, which is something I did not expect. But I also advocate for pot prisoners. I have a nonprofit that's called freedomgrow.org, and thank you. We raise money. In fact, Stephanie, stand up, please. Come on, Stephanie. This is Stephanie Landa. Everybody give her a round of applause. Stephanie served 5 years in federal prison for growing cannabis from my dispensary. You would never believe it. And together we created this nonprofit to raise money to help pot prisoners that are in jail, because we look around and in the past, 10% of all people who smoked cannabis would get arrested and go to jail. Would they go for life? Maybe not. But there are people serving life in prison right now. In fact, we have two really exciting announcements. We have a gentleman named Paul Free. He served 30 years for cannabis. He was released yesterday. Yep. And tomorrow, it's a very special day because Antonio Basquero, who is the longest serving cannabis prisoner in the United States, is going home. Yep. 36 years he's served. He's in his late 80s. He's in a wheelchair, and he's now going to go home to his family where he belongs. So this is giving us some hope that this administration is releasing people that were wrongly put in prison. So this is really exciting. Check out freedomgrow.org, everybody. We keep 100% goes directly to our prisoners. We don't take $1. Stephanie and I do this. Oh, here she is. I see the tears coming down her face. We do this because we love the pot prisoners, and we know it could easily be one of us. And the government does not provide for these people. They don't give them toothpaste or laundry detergent. They don't even give them proper food to eat. So they really rely on commissary. And not only commissary, but we provide money when they get out so they can start over again. Thank you. So now that legalization is moving on, we're going to take over the whole U.S., right? What are you most excited about?
I'm just excited about, like, women. I'm a woman, so that's the most important thing to me. I think that I want women to be walking down the street the way men walk down the street, with a joint or a vape or an edible. I want there to be no shame. I want us to be emboldened, empowered, and be a sisterhood about it, and help each other.
Well, your shirt says it all. You guys check out her shirt. Feminized, that's right. It is a female plant, so we cannot remember it. And I'm actually shocked. This is the first cannabis event that I could look around, and I think there might be more women here than men.
Yeah, there's a lot of women here.
We're taking over, ladies. This is really exciting. So now let's talk a little bit about what you're trying to create with your brand.
Well, my brand is going to be geared towards women. I mean, that's that's the core group of my audience, and I've been in the public eye for a long time. So I think that the people that follow me and are interested in what I'm doing can know that they can rely on me for authenticity, because I wouldn't be talking about it unless I was also doing it.
That's really important, right? We know those people that are getting involved that you just don't know if they've ever touched cannabis. I just got back from Mexico a couple days ago. I was speaking at Canna, Mexico, and staying at the hacienda for the former president of Mexico, Vicente Fox. It was quite an experience. But I noticed that most of the people there that are starting cannabis businesses have never tried cannabis before, because they just don't have access to it. So it was a little strange to have someone who's never tried it explain what kind of reaction you're going to get,
Yeah.
So it is nice to have someone that does use it, embraces it.
Right, yeah. I mean, I have no interest in promoting any sort of product that I don't have in my life. That's not what I'm about.
Yeah. And I know you have these great dinner parties at your house where you...
I had a cannabis dinner party once for my show on Netflix, but that was dangerous, and I wasn't right for 3 days. So... I mean, that was like another world. I've had a couple of those experiences, but I went to sleep that night. We had, who was it? We had Wiz Khalifa over, Jill Scott, Shania Twain, and the guy from Imagine Dragons, Dan Reynolds. And he's Mormon, so he had never smoked a joint. And Wiz Khalifa whips out a joint. I was like, this is going to go down. And then Wiz Khalifa gave him a hit, and he's like, oh, I'm so stoned. Where's the bathroom? And we're like, oh, it's that way. And my house has a big glass door, and he walked right into the door and then ricocheted right off of it. And I looked at Wiz Khalifa, who went, yes. So yeah, I've smoked with Willie, I've smoked with Snoop and all those guys, and that's serious shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not into that. I don't need to smoke that. I want something that's not an introductory weed for women who might want to come back to the marketplace.
Even going in their dressing room, I mean, the contact high. People say you can't get a contact high. Go and sit in Snoop's dressing room.
You can get an on the same road high with
Yes.
Snoop Dogg. Yeah, he used to be in my show, and the building smelled like weed for 2 weeks. Like you can't. He just has to drive by an area.
That's right. That is right. So, who is your favorite person that you've ever smoked with?
I mean, Willie Nelson, because he's Willie Nelson, you know? And his wife or his caretaker, I'm not sure what the dynamic there is, but she wouldn't leave the trailer. We had to go in his trailer, and we smoked together, and she was like, you know, keeping an eye on things. And I was like, is she like keeping an eye on me? And he's like, we know you like old dudes. I was like, all right, not that fucking old, buddy. But yeah, that was fun. It was all fun. You know, I mean, but that was my experience for a long time. I thought that's what weed meant, was being that high. And I want first-time users. I want people who are scared but also want to see what's going on, you know? I want to say, you're safe with me, you know what I mean? I'm going to look after any person. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish. We can graduate together to the hard stuff.
All right, I'll be waiting for you when you get up to the top.
Yeah, you'll be at the pearly gates.
All right. So as far as, you know, we touched upon women in cannabis, right? We touched upon that the plant is female. And of course that women have joined the ranks. They've always been there. I used to say all my best growers were women. Their husbands would maybe deliver the product because if they were to get caught, someone had to stay home with the kids, right? And so it was, now that it's changed, the marketing side, the PR side, there's so many different aspects that I see that women can really take over and lead the industry. You know, where do you see, do you think that it is important for most cannabis brands to have women and people of color working there? Is it okay these days to have just a bunch of white people working in a cannabis industry?
No, it's not okay to do that anywhere.
Very true. Thank you. I noticed that it is harder to break into other industries, to the cannabis industry as a woman. For me, I was the only one for 10 years. I was like an anomaly. And most men would come into my dispensary and they would first ask where my husband was or my boyfriend or my boss. And I would go, well, I'm my boss. What are you talking about? But they didn't feel comfortable. And now it's just become a different type of profession. Moms can come into they can have a sales job and still go home and feed their kids, where before it was a different lifestyle. But do you see it changing? Do you see, you know, how do you see the cannabis industry growing?
I think it's about being a high functioning person. You know, people are associating it with being somebody who never goes to work and eats Doritos all day. Like, obviously the culture's changing and shifting, and we need to be there to document it and highlight the things that people can do. You can use cannabis to function. You can use cannabis to create. You can use it for all of these things that are contributions to your life, to other people's lives. So it's about that cultural shift, which we're going through, you know? I think we're going through, I mean, that's happening, and it's about either, you know, it's like the world is getting browner and gayer. Yeah, so hop on board before you miss the bus. Cannabis is coming too. Let's all like work together. Like I think this world needs cannabis more than it's ever needed anything.
Absolutely.
You know, alcohol's not really killing it for everybody. There's too many problems with alcohol. So if we want to live in a kinder, softer, gentler place, then we have the answer.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I recently had to sit down with my nephew, who is 13, to tell him what I did for a living, because I was afraid he was going to find out by going online, and maybe he would be scared of me or something. I don't know. And we sat down and I talked to him about it. And I said, what do you know about cannabis? And he said, it's for sick people and people over 21, right? And I told him, I have a cannabis store. And he's like, well, okay, whatever, and that's the future. It's normalizing it. It's having teachers teach people what it's about. And the youth these days are not growing up with the stigma that we were raised on. In fact, I looked it up online. I'm 5 days older than you, and we have the same middle name. So that must have been something very popular during that week of February. But I don't know. Times are changing, and I think that the generation we grew up in, it was just, even though our parents did it, it was like the Woodstock, that was okay. It was not okay for us. It was like, at least for me, my dad accused me of smoking dope once. I think he was really just asking me if I wanted to smoke with him, but I thought it was a trick, I was like, oh no, I would never do dope, and my friend goes, dope's cannabis or weed, and I'm like, no, I thought it was like cocaine or something. I had no idea. But, it's every generation had it, but they weren't willing to like openly discuss it. Yeah. So I think that's one of the things I'm most excited about in the future is just the openness, how we're learning about it, and it's okay to talk to your kids about it.
Yeah, and normalizing it with kids. Like, this is cannabis, you're not allowed to have it yet, but this is fine, it's legal, and use it, and don't hide it. And I mean, obviously you don't want them to use it, but be open about it, because then it makes it less of a conversation later. And the more conversations we have with people who aren't familiar with it, and I speak from experience because I travel all the time, and I'm in different parts of the world, and and I'm always testing these things out with friends, with relatives, to see what their reactions are. And there's not one person who's not like, that has had a bad experience or a not positive experience. One person that I met that's like, it's not for me, I don't like the way I feel. Then that's fine. But look at all the other people who are like, whoa, I know for me, it's like, it makes me so much, it makes the world just an easier place for me to be. Like, I don't get, my patience is, I have better patience. I'm slower to react, which for me is a great thing, and just kinder and gentler. And it's, alcohol is loud, pot is not.
Now, as far as building a brand, did you have a bunch of different companies chasing after you to start
I met with some people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would imagine so. Now, is that something, was it exciting to you? Was it like, what do these people want?
No, I mean, I was, I'm coming up to these grows and these companies, and everybody feels like they're just kind of, it's a beginning stage of something, Right. So there is so much to learn. And after meeting with enough people, I met with my partners at NorCal, and it just, we were all adults in the room. And I felt like, okay, this is something that's going to move forward. We can get the ball rolling, and we can all get on the same page with me being a creator and a curator of my own brand. I want people to smoke and like and vape and eat what I'm doing, so it has to be current with what I'm doing. And I want to be like, a kind of big sister in the space, so that you can rely on me.
I love that you started in California, though. To me, that's really important, because California is where medical was passed first. It's where this whole movement really started. And a lot of celebrities are jumping into the Canadian space first and kind of, but I think it's really important to support the U.S. market and our local farmers as well. So thank you. A lot of celebrities are now joining into the space. You guys know that Willie Nelson has his own strain, Snoop Dogg, 2 Chainz, The Game. I'm sure I'm forgetting a million. I'm personally working with a bunch over at my company, PNS Ventures. We are building a bunch of different brands for different celebrities, and it's really about what that celebrity likes to do. If they like drinking coffee, maybe they want a coffee line. If they like drinking tea, maybe they want tea. If they like baked goods, maybe we're going to go in that route, or gummies or whatever. And so it's really true to that celebrity, but will that message be really true to the buyer? At the end of the day, when someone comes into a dispensary, are they going to choose that celebrity brand over any other brand, right? You have to really push the marketing, the sales, making sure the bud tenders know. But having a celebrity who embraces the culture makes it a lot easier for people to want to be driven to your product. And a lot of these other cannabis brands are starting to work with celebrities, because they're realizing now a lot of people, maybe they don't trust John or Mike or Regina, who works behind the dispensary counter, but they will trust someone like Chelsea. So this is really exciting. I think we're going to take some open Q&A if anyone wants
Ooh,
to
I
ask
love
a
a
question.
Q&A.
Hello. Hi. I'm a big fan of both of yours. My name is Jan. I founded the farm in Boulder in 2009. And so I've been doing this for about 10 years now. And I love seeing this event. This is amazing. I've had an amazing day. And I just had a great idea since you're in the business now. Why don't you guys come and manufacture your products at my... I have a distribution company in Boulder. So if you want to move to Boulder and bring your brand to Colorado, I've got a 7,000 square foot facility.
Thank you. Good to know.
Hi, guys. I would like to know what advice you have for women that are in the industry, this industry, and also looking to spread knowledge and education in the entertainment industry as well.
Do you want to?
Sorry about that.
The knowledge you have from to spread into the... I got the second part of that. Sorry. I'm sorry. Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, how to educate people in the entertainment industry. I'm not in charge of them, but it's a good question. I think they're going to get educated. You mean to go and meet with actual studio heads and stuff like that? Oh, yeah. Okay, I don't know. That's not something I would know how to do. I'm sorry. I wish I could be of more help. Go, girl.
This one's good now. No hardwired mics now. Only wireless.
I'm sorry, I can't.
So basically, she wants to know, what are the top 3 factors that convinced you to work with a company?
Professionalism, cleanliness, and diversity.
Excellent.
I like my people showered and fresh, just like to smell like a hall of flowers.
Hi. I was born loud, so I don't think I need a mic. I was just visiting with my father in Durham, North Carolina. He's a psychiatrist who works with people recovering from opioid addictions. And I was wondering if you've had any success stories with people recovering, or if you're interested in that space, because from what he was telling me, it's devastating out there, at least.
It's one of the reasons why I'm most excited about federal legalization is the safe access to cannabis for so many people. These kids don't have access to clean meds, and they're choosing pills. And if they have access to cannabis, I truly believe they'll stop taking the pills. The pills are poison.
Try that one, but nothing. Sorry, I had this lady back here. Excuse me.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm with MJ Lifestyle Magazine. And I was wondering, as a woman, for both of you in the cannabis space, and as consumers, how do you feel about brands like Ignite that use sexualizing women as their marketing tactics?
I'm kind of happy you asked that question, actually. I don't think it's respectful to the plant. I think she's saved so many lives. We don't treat her that way. I mean, I'm not into women shaming. I think if you want to get in a bikini and take a picture with the weed plant, that's all your business. But it's not going to win me over as a consumer. I just don't think that it's really showing that it's respectful towards women.
Chelsea, you're so awesome. I love you. You had such wonderful insights today. Thanks for joining the movement. Are you getting any closer to developing your strain that would not cause the munchies? Because I know I've heard a lot of Hollywood women say, well, I can't afford to use it because I have to keep my weight down. Even Bill Maher said it the other day when you were on his show. So other than trial and error, which God bless you for doing, what are you doing to try and develop that strain? And
Just going to keep trying, just trying. I'll report back in about 12 years. No, I am working on that. I'm very diligently working on that. I know that's so important to so many women. I know that's a deal breaker for a lot of the reason why women don't want to get stoned is because of the munchies. So it is definitely something that I want to launch with, and we are in discussion about it.
Hi, my name's Stephanie. I actually work with Viola. I was wondering if you ladies would like to smoke after this.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Mitchell Colbert, freelance writer. So nothing is taboo in comedy. That is totally wonderful. But do you feel that cannabis being the butt of jokes in TV shows and movies is helping break down stigma and stereotypes or hurting it?
Well, I don't think of it that way. I think we just have to redevelop what our stigmas are and make them positive. We can attach marijuana to being a productive person. You know, we can attach marijuana to having a productive and prolific business career, a creative career, whatever your job is and your vocation is. We can attach it to positive things too. We've just lived in the past where they've attached it to laziness and, you know, fat guys and whatever. We have to reimagine this space and have it reflect what is actually happening in society when people do use this drug. And it's not that anymore. That's old. So it's just a matter of us all being conscientious moving forward, making sure what message are you putting out? People say to me all the time, oh my God, you look so great right now. What is it? I'm like cannabis over alcohol. I tell everybody I'm not bloated. I don't have a hangover. I have more energy. You can come in from any angle you want. So it depends who you're talking to, but people are attracted when they see those things. They go, oh wow, maybe I should do that. I'm like, yeah, don't drink every night and you're going to see a big difference.
When I was hired to work on the show Disjointed, they pitched this idea of this dispensary, and there was these characters that were like total stoners, and then there's the mom who needed just to get high because her kids were making her crazy, and there was just all these different characters. But the one that was the most important to me was the security guard. I don't know if you saw the show, but he had PTSD from serving in the military, and they really dived into that story. So I think the more entertainment, the more stories of what's really true life that's happened to people. I have friends that served in Iraq that lost their arms and their legs, and they all wanted to kill themselves, but they used cannabis, and now they go river rafting and try to prove everybody wrong. I mean, so you never know. There's a documentary that's coming out in Tribeca Film Festival this week. It's called Waldo on Weed. And I filmed a little bit of it. It's Whoopi Goldberg actually is the executive producer. And it's a story about this little boy named Waldo who, when he was 6 months old, was diagnosed with bilateral retinoblastoma, eye cancer. He had tumors in both his eyes, and the doctors wanted to remove his eyes the next day. And his parents went home, and they couldn't imagine taking out their kid's eyes. They found an article about me, and they flew to California the next day, and they started their son on cannabis oil. And they filmed the entire thing. They filmed him in the hospital getting really sick from the chemo, and as soon as they gave him that first dose, this kid completely changed. He went from being violently ill to playing and asking for food and, just having a great time in the hospital. He's now, I believe, 5. He's cancer-free. He has both his eyes. The doctors, of course, it's a miracle, but we all know it's the cannabis. And so this documentary coming out is really powerful, and I think that there's more that you're going to see on places like Netflix. They're starting to embrace like the true stories. It's not the Cheech and Chong anymore. People want to see the real healing. So I think that's going to be the future.
It's funny. I just want to, I want to just interject before you ask your question. You talk about, nobody ever like alcohol is fine, but you never see somebody really like switch to alcohol and they look so much better. You do see it with cannabis.
So as we're thinking about consumption, right, for alcohol, there's a public element to it that we see is kind of missing in cannabis. I can go out to a bar, order a bunch of drinks, can't really go out there and like order a bunch of J's or have people come and be like, oh, today we have a nice 2015 vintage, blah, 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 right? Now the experience doesn't really exist. You guys kind of talked about today and alluded to winning hearts and minds, that we need to go out there and make sure people are kind of familiar with it, more comfortable with it. What do you think we need to do to win hearts and minds so much that we can unlock that sector of the cannabis economy and, allow the public consumption and everything that comes from that to exist?
I think it's demonstration. It's just messaging over and over again. And there's no reason you can't. We had a dinner last night in town, and for a bunch of local girls here that are here for the fair or live in the area, business owners. And we had, the CBD drops that we put in our drinks. And I didn't drink. I had 2 cucumber juices filled with CBD. So, that experience, don't say we can't have that experience. We're not there yet, but we're not that far away. Look how quickly things have moved. So, I just go back to normalization, If we can normalize this president in this White House, we can normalize anything in the world.
That's right.
I don't know why I point up there for White House.
I know.
I meant there. I don't mean God.
Consumption lounges are coming. In fact, I have a license for one. We're opening in Cathedral City at the OG Collective, which is just so exciting to me that you can go somewhere and sit down and have a drink or a sandwich, a smoothie, a joint, a dab, a little medicated food. I mean, that's the future of the world. So we're catching up. Hopefully it'll be in every city. I think once the major cities start opening and people start seeing wait a second, they have access to this, we don't, the cities will be more likely to open them because, of course, they don't want us smoking on the street, God forbid, right? It's so taboo, so they have to lock us up somewhere. So we'll be in a room smoking together soon.
Hi, my name is Antonia, and I'm representing Mary's Medicinals. We're huge fans of both of you, and I just wanted to know, what are your favorite activities to indulge in after consuming?
I like to write.
I'm stoned all day, so anything I do, work, play, everything, so yes.
But I just tried working out with it recently, and that works too, because I'd always heard about people and smoking before they work out. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm never going to be able to work out, and I'm getting into it. Yeah, I mean, you can just really get, and it's also it's a mental game too. If you just say to yourself, I'm about to get in the zone, and then you use that to amplify that you're going into whatever zone, it does work like that. Before I eat weed, I always am like, don't be a pig tonight. Don't just eat your face off. You're going to have a snack now, and that's it. And then usually I remember to not be a pig. So you got to set your intention. It's like anything else in life. If you go in with one intention, you're going to get that out of it.
Hi ladies, Jessica from the Mota Group. So excited to be here and excited to be watching you both on this panel. Back on the lines of consumption lounges, we're so excited to announce that Mota is opening in Green Street, downtown Los Angeles. We are trying to build the platform for brands to come and educate, promote, do product launches, do collaborations. It's a pillar of creativity. We want cannabis to be recognized as that. We have people from every creative field, and we want to make a social club for creatives that is cannabis friendly. So we're opening in the fall. Chelsea, we'd love to have you as one of our founding members. So we'll hit you up after.
Okay.
And yeah, thanks, ladies, for all that you're doing.
One more. Ozzy from Uv Lifestyle. I'm a big fan, Chelsea. Thank you for being here. I wanted to ask you if you've experienced any benefits as far as mindfulness, meditation, and spirituality in connection with the plant.
Yeah, I mean, I went to therapy for a year after Trump got elected. And he was trying to get me to meditate, and I couldn't meditate. I just was like this. I'm like this all the time. And so for me, after, months of working with him, and I was only able to meditate when we worked together, and he kept telling me, obviously everybody knows the benefits. It's science now that it's going to help you sleep. It's going to help your attention span. It helps you focus. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And he said, you commit to it for 3 months. And I was like, 3 months is like a pregnancy. I don't have that kind of time. And he's like, first of all, 3 months is not a pregnancy. And I was like, well, okay. Anyway, so I did do it. But I used cannabis was like my gateway drug to meditation because it was the only time I could be still and be like, okay, just chill out. And for me, I'm always at a 10. And so it was the combination of therapy, meditation, and cannabis, that like all work together for me. So that's why, my book focuses on my therapy because I want to share what I learned. I know I'm not the only person going through that. And it's the same thing, if that helped me, I know it's going to help millions of people. I just know it.
Hey, my name is Michaela. I'm huge fans of you both. Dr. Dina, my tech company, works with the stores, so really honored to get to meet you. Being that this talk is just around breaking the stigma, Chelsea, I was just curious if in your career outside of this new endeavor in cannabis, have you had any brands or companies that have stopped working with you because of this transition into the cannabis space, or was that a concern for you?
No, I mean, I used to do a business with Belvedere. I was an ambassador for that product, again, because that was important to me at that time of my life. So I try not to slap my name on too many things. I try not to. I want to, and I'm at a phase in my life where I want this business to be my business. So it's not just about slapping your name on a licensing deal and not being part of it. I owe that to my fans to be a part of it, and it's my pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how certain TV shows in the past, I had filmed a pilot for a reality show a long time ago, but the advertisers were so scared. I mean, they were all threatening to pull their ads off of this network, and it was a big network, and so they decided to pass on it. And so it does happen, but clearly not for you.
No, it happens. I mean, I'm launching a podcast, and they're sensitive about my marijuana usage, and I was like, well, I'm gonna talk about cannabis. That's not, I'm not necessarily gonna promote brands on there, but right. I'm gonna talk about it. It's part of my life, and and then we agreed that, I'm not gonna not do that because it's just little baby steps. If everybody takes little baby steps, it adds up. We've seen that in all walks of life. So it's certain to be true for this.
And we're partners with Whoopi and Maya. And Whoopi Goldberg, I mean, she's huge into cannabis. She really, truly believes that this is going to help women with menstrual cramps and PMS. And I love the products. And I think it's really interesting that she's going after that market of, there are this many women in the world, and they're all getting their period once a month, and they're going to need this product. But she can't talk about it on The View. I mean, she is banned from mentioning cannabis on The View.
Yeah, I was on The View the other day. She can't talk about much.
Yeah, exactly. So it does happen. They do try to shut everyone down.
But I'm pretty sure she was stoned, so there you go. I gave her a look like, yeah, we're in this together.
Excellent. Two more if it's all right. This gentleman over here, 1 second. Sorry, love.
I huge fan, big fanboy. Anyhow,
thank you.
I work for True Terpenes. What we do is we're really forward in education, and I was curious, in which way specifically are you going to bring out education? Is it going to be more like experience-based or scientific, and what steps you're going to take that's going to differentiate what a lot of people try to do?
No, I mean, I'm going to talk to my consumers. For me, that's important for me, my messaging to be on the packaging and to be in the marketing. It's for me to them, So I want to be like about my personal experience. This is how this makes me feel. This is what this helps me with. This is what I used to sleep. This is what I used to wake up. This is what I used to when I have to go to my nephew's bar mitzvah. You know what I mean? It's all going to be things that have happened to me.
So are you going to go strain specific, or are you going to go with like a feeling?
We're not there yet. We're just still in the testing phases. So, I'm sure a little of both.
Okay, that's fair. I know the feeling part has become really popular amongst like the beginning users because they don't know what's.
Yeah, you just want to feel confident. You want to put yourself in a situation where you also feel confident. So when you're encouraging people to use for the first time or try to cannabis for the first time, you want to make sure they're in their safe place. If that's at home by themselves, and let them do that. Don't be in people's faces about it. Let people do whatever they feel comfortable with, but encourage it because it is a joyful experience. I can find joy in shaving my legs when I'm a little bit stoned. You know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of people that annoy the shit out of me that I can hang out with when I'm stoned. So let's just keep that going.
All right, we like that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tommy. I work with Show Products, Rosin Tech, and over the past year or so, I've really been noticing, being with them, that cannabis extracts have a huge stigma against them because everybody thinks you get too high, you're just going to get dabbed out, start throwing up. So, I've noticed that the stigma for extracts specifically are a lot higher. How do you guys see extracts sort of playing into the community and the culture of cannabis in the future, and sort of ways to sort of fix that stigma?
So I love cannabis extracts personally. I actually almost never smoke flowers anymore just because I'd rather dab. But I don't like the super hot dab. I don't need to take a huge glob and a super hot nail. I have a Puffco Peak and I warm it up, at the right temperature that I like for that moment to get that feeling. If I want to be a little more high, let's turn it up, let's get a little hotter. To me, I think it is the future. Look at every vape pen. The market of vape pens did not exist 10 years ago. I remember when the first nicotine pen came out, they were selling them at the mall and the little kiosks. And I walked past it and I just stopped and went, can I get marijuana inside of this pen? Like, we're all going to be like, this is the best thing ever. And sure enough, now everybody's doing vape pens. It has become more than 30% of the business nowadays. This is just a completely side that never existed. It was all flowers before, or maybe a little bit of edibles. So I think it's still growing. I think that the experienced users are still wanting concentrates. The patients are still wanting concentrates. I don't think that to smoke a whole joint to get the relief that you might need if you have a bad back or something's wrong with you, versus just taking a quick dab, it's a convenience level. So I think it's not going anywhere.
And I don't have enough experience with extracts to answer your question. I'm not there yet.
But you just got your first Puffco Peak backstage.
She did. She gave it to me backstage.
All right, so maybe later.
Are you good? Okay. Yep.
Hi, my name is Jen Michaels, and my company is called NorCal Seeds and Genetics. So I have many strains that you'd be interested in.
Great.
And I also do a lot of medical research. We have a strategic partnership with Steep Hill Labs. I've been studying strains for a couple years now, seriously, and I want to know if you like wine. And if you do, what's your favorite?
I don't like wine.
Oh.
No, I don't. It gives me a big headache. I like vodka. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eric Elder. I'm with Rev Genomics. We're a cannabis genetics company working on THCV, which is the appetite suppressant cannabinoid. I heard you on Howard Stern, and you were talking about your sister-in-law, how she annoys you, and I'm wondering, is there a combination of CBD and THC that makes people less annoying to you?
Yeah, almost every combination makes people less annoying to me. For me personally, I need to sand down the edges. You know what I mean? So I don't tell people what I think in the minute and have like a slower reactive time. So yeah, I mean, there's always, I like to keep it consistent. And I think when you use cannabis a lot, you have to take breaks from certain things. So I want to find something that you're not going to, you're not going to wear out when if you use something and you feel comfortable. You want to be able to keep using that thing, getting consistent results. So it's about pacing, and it's about finding out what that is, what that combination is, and is there one that can be that consistent? Because it's my experience that we're in a world where it's very inconsistent. And that's a problem for me. So I want to make sure, that I can do the best I can to make it a consistent experience. I know there's a lot of factors that go into that. So it's all a learning process.
And I think that's what's so cool about the consumption lounges. Right now, you have these PADs, the Patient Appreciation Days. You have someone from the company showing up and showing their products to the patients, but they can't try it. They can't really, it's not the same like it used to be, right? But the consumption lounges, they can sample it. So I think that will help, translate over to sales. People can see what they like. And once you find what you like, you're going to stick with it. Now, the V is very exciting because I have a lot of patients looking for this, and people want the appetite suppressant. You go to Home Depot and let's say you have some paint and you want to recreate that same paint because you need to paint your wall. You put it on a scanner and you scan it, right? And it comes up with the correct recipe to make the paint. And I'm hoping one day we have this in the cannabis industry. It's like, this is what I want, and we'll be able to create the exact compounds of this, the V, the G, whatever it is that we need at that moment for that feeling. So, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you, Dr. Dina.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chelsea.